There exists a cruel irony that permeates our world. The kindest hearts often carry the heaviest financial burdens, while those with questionable ethics seem to accumulate wealth with disturbing ease. The generous soul struggles to pay rent, while the selfish prosper. The compassionate giver faces constant money worries, while the greedy hoarder builds empires. This apparent injustice has puzzled humanity for centuries and left countless good people wondering if virtue is somehow punished by an unjust universe. You are about to discover the hidden spiritual laws that create this paradox, and, more importantly, how to transform your relationship with money so that goodness becomes an asset rather than a liability in your financial life. The truth is that good people struggle financially, not because the universe is unfair, but because they have been conditioned to believe in spiritual lies about money that keep them trapped in cycles of lack and limitation. Money is spiritual energy made manifest in physical form. It is neither good nor evil. It is simply a tool that amplifies the consciousness of whoever wields it. When good people struggle financially, it reveals deep-seated beliefs about money that contradict their spiritual nature rather than support it. These unconscious beliefs create invisible barriers that repel the very abundance that would allow them to serve others more effectively. The fundamental misconception that creates financial struggle among good people is the belief that spiritual virtue and material abundance are somehow incompatible. This poisonous lie suggests that poverty is noble, that struggling financially demonstrates moral purity, and that wealth automatically corrupts character. These beliefs create a spiritual conflict where good people unconsciously sabotage their own prosperity to maintain their identity as virtuous beings. Scripture reveals the divine truth about prosperity when it declares, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." This divine blessing shows that material abundance is meant to match spiritual development, not oppose it. God desires your prosperity because abundance allows you to serve others more effectively and demonstrate divine generosity on a larger scale. The universe operates on spiritual laws of circulation and flow. Money, like water, must circulate to remain healthy and life-giving. When it becomes stagnant through hoarding or fearful clutching, it loses its vitality and blessing. Good people often struggle financially because they block the natural flow of abundance through limiting beliefs about their worthiness to receive, their fears about handling larger sums responsibly, or their unconscious guilt about having more than others. Mother Teresa understood this principle profoundly during her work with the poorest of the poor in Calcutta. Despite taking vows of poverty, she became one of the most effective fundraisers in history, channeling millions of dollars toward her humanitarian mission. She recognized that her personal detachment from wealth enabled her to become a clear conduit for divine supply to flow through her toward those in need. Her financial success came through understanding that money was meant to serve love, not replace it. Her example demonstrates that spiritual people can attract enormous wealth when they align their money consciousness with divine purpose rather than personal comfort. The key lies in becoming a steward of abundance rather than a victim of scarcity. Embrace this transformative understanding and declare with unshakable faith, "I am a worthy vessel for divine abundance, and money flows through me to serve the highest good." Good people struggle financially because they have been programmed to believe that wanting money is somehow selfish or unspiritual. They feel guilty for desiring financial security, ashamed of wanting comfortable living conditions, and embarrassed about enjoying material pleasures. This guilt creates energetic resistance that repels the very abundance they need to live freely and serve others generously. Divine intelligence placed the desire for abundance in your heart because abundance serves divine purpose. Your longing for financial freedom is actually spiritual guidance, pointing you toward the resources you need to fulfill your earthly mission. When you suppress or deny these desires, you block the divine flow that wants to express through your life. The biblical account of Solomon illustrates this principle beautifully. When God appeared to Solomon in a dream and offered to grant any request, Solomon asked for wisdom to govern well rather than personal riches. God was so pleased with this unselfish desire that he granted both wisdom and unprecedented wealth. Solomon became the richest king in history because his desire for abundance was aligned with divine service rather than personal gratification. Solomon's story reveals that the universe eagerly provides material resources to those whose hearts are aligned with serving others. The key is ensuring your financial desires spring from love rather than fear, from generosity rather than greed, from service rather than selfishness. Good people also struggle financially because they undervalue their own contributions and gifts. They give away their time, energy, and talents for far less than they are worth because they have been conditioned to believe that charging appropriately for their services is somehow greedy or unspiritual. This undervaluing creates a cycle of financial struggle that limits their ability to serve at their highest capacity. When you undercharge for your gifts, you actually disrespect the divine source of those talents. Your abilities are not accidents, they are divine endowments meant to bless both yourself and others. When you honor the value of your gifts by charging appropriately, you create energetic alignment that allows abundance to flow more freely toward your mission. This is where I invite you to step into your divine worth. In the comments below, write these words: I deserve abundant compensation for my divine gifts. When you make this declaration, you challenge the programming that keeps good people in financial bondage. You announce to the universe that you are ready to receive the resources needed to fulfill your spiritual purpose. You signal your willingness to become a prosperous servant rather than a struggling martyr. Write it now and feel the shift in your consciousness as you claim your spiritual right to abundance. Financial struggle among good people often stems from confusion about the relationship between giving and receiving. Many spiritual people have been taught that giving is virtuous, while receiving is selfish. This imbalanced understanding creates blockages in the natural flow of abundance that requires both generous giving and grateful receiving to remain healthy. True spiritual giving flows from abundance rather than lack. When you give from a place of financial struggle, hoping that sacrifice will somehow earn divine favor, you often create resentment and depletion rather than blessing. But when you give from overflow, your generosity becomes a joyful expression of gratitude rather than a desperate attempt to manipulate outcomes. The widow's mite story teaches us about proportional giving rather than sacrificial giving. Jesus praised the widow who gave 2 small coins, not because she impoverished herself, but because she gave from faith rather than fear. Her small offering represented trust in divine provision rather than reckless sacrifice of necessary resources. Healthy giving requires healthy receiving. You cannot pour from an empty cup indefinitely. When you cultivate the ability to receive gracefully and gratefully, you create space for the universe to replenish your resources so you can continue giving from abundance rather than lack. George Cadbury exemplifies this balanced approach to giving and receiving. The British chocolate manufacturer revolutionized business by creating Bournville, a model village for his workers complete with gardens, recreational facilities, and quality housing, all while building a highly profitable company. Rather than viewing worker welfare as a cost, Cadbury understood it as an investment that created both social good and business success. His approach flowed from abundance rather than sacrifice, proving that treating employees well and sharing profits actually increased productivity and loyalty, creating a cycle of mutual prosperity. His example demonstrates that prosperity and generosity enhance each other when approached with spiritual wisdom rather than religious guilt. Stand in this truth of balanced abundance and proclaim, I receive gracefully so I can give generously, and divine supply flows through me in perfect circulation. Many good people struggle financially because they have unconscious fears about what having money might do to their character. They worry that wealth will make them selfish, corrupt their values, or distance them from their spiritual path. These fears create subconscious sabotage patterns that prevent them from accumulating or maintaining significant wealth. Money amplifies existing character rather than creating new character. If you are fundamentally generous, wealth will make you more generous. If you are basically selfish, money will make you more selfish. The key to maintaining your goodness while accumulating wealth lies in continuously developing your spiritual character, rather than avoiding material abundance. The parable of the talents reveals divine expectations about wealth multiplication. The servants who invested and increased their resources received praise and greater responsibility, while the servant who buried his talent out of fear received condemnation. This story shows that divine intelligence expects faithful stewards to grow their resources rather than merely preserve them. Your financial growth serves spiritual purpose by increasing your capacity to serve others, support worthy causes, and demonstrate divine prosperity principles. When you approach wealth building as spiritual discipline rather than material pursuit, money becomes a tool for expressing divine love rather than a temptation towards spiritual compromise. Good people often struggle financially because they approach money from consciousness of lack rather than consciousness of abundance. They focus on what they cannot afford rather than what they can create. They speak of limitation rather than possibility. They plan from scarcity rather than divine supply. This consciousness of lack creates magnetic attraction for more lack, perpetuating cycles of financial struggle despite their best intentions. Consciousness of abundance begins with recognizing the wealth that already surrounds you. The air you breathe freely, the sunlight that nourishes without charge, the countless services provided by others, the opportunities available in your environment, all represent forms of abundance that exist independently of your bank account. When you cultivate appreciation for existing abundance, you create magnetic attraction for greater material prosperity. This abundant consciousness also involves speaking words that align with divine prosperity rather than human limitation. Instead of declaring what you cannot afford, begin affirming what you are ready to receive. Instead of complaining about financial challenges, start giving thanks for divine solutions that are already on their way. Your words carry creative power that either attracts or repels financial blessing. Yvon Chouinard, founder of the outdoor clothing company Patagonia, demonstrates this consciousness of abundance through his revolutionary approach to business ownership. Rather than approaching money from fear or scarcity, Chouinard viewed his company as a vehicle for environmental activism. He donated the entire business, worth $3 billion, to fight climate change, showing how abundant consciousness transcends personal ownership. His financial success flowed from seeing possibilities where others saw problems, building a profitable business around environmental responsibility when others insisted it was impossible to be both profitable and principled. His approach reveals that true wealth consciousness focuses on value creation rather than money accumulation, on contribution rather than acquisition, on service rather than taking. Align with this abundant mindset and declare, "I see infinite opportunities for prosperity, and divine intelligence guides me toward perfect abundance." Financial struggle among good people often results from carrying inherited beliefs about money that were formed during childhood or passed down through family generations. These unconscious programs operate beneath awareness level, creating self-sabotage patterns that contradict conscious desires for financial success. Healing these deep-rooted money wounds becomes essential for aligning outer prosperity with inner goodness. Many good people absorb messages during childhood that rich people are bad, that wanting money is greedy, that struggling financially proves virtue, or that abundance belongs only to others. These limiting beliefs create internal conflicts that manifest as external financial challenges. The conscious mind may desire prosperity while the subconscious mind repels it through self-defeating behaviors and decisions. Transforming your money consciousness requires identifying these hidden beliefs and replacing them with spiritual truth about divine abundance. You must forgive any past programming that positioned money as evil rather than neutral, poverty as virtue rather than limitation, and financial desire as sin rather than divine guidance toward greater service. The process also involves releasing any resentment toward wealthy people who you perceive as less deserving than yourself. Judgment of others' prosperity creates energetic blocks in your own abundance flow. When you can genuinely celebrate others' financial success, regardless of their character, you open channels for your own prosperity to increase. True financial healing happens when you align your money beliefs with your spiritual values. rather than seeing them as opposing forces. Money becomes a spiritual practice when approached with consciousness, gratitude, and commitment to serve the highest good through whatever resources you receive. Good people deserve financial abundance because abundance enables greater service to humanity. Your prosperity does not take away from others. It creates more resources to share, more opportunities to help, and more examples of what becomes possible when good character combines with financial wisdom. The universe wants good people to have money because they can be trusted to use it for purposes that serve divine will. Your financial struggle serves no noble purpose. Your money worries do not make you more spiritual. Your inability to pay bills does not prove your virtue. These limitations simply restrict your capacity to express divine love through practical service and generous giving. When you embrace your spiritual right to financial abundance, you break the false programming that has kept good people in financial bondage for generations. You become living proof that virtue and prosperity can coexist beautifully when consciousness is aligned with divine truth rather than religious lies. The time has come to claim your divine inheritance of abundance. Stop believing that financial struggle is somehow virtuous. Stop accepting limitation as spiritual discipline. Stop sabotaging your prosperity out of misguided humility. You were created to demonstrate divine abundance in material form. Your goodness qualifies you for prosperity rather than disqualifying you from it. Your generous heart deserves the resources needed to express love practically and effectively. Begin today by examining every belief you hold about money. Question every assumption you have inherited about wealth. Challenge every program that suggests virtue requires financial limitation. Replace scarcity consciousness with abundance awareness. Transform poverty programming with prosperity truth. Speak words that align with divine abundance rather than human limitation. Take actions that demonstrate faith in divine supply rather than fear of material lack. Make decisions from consciousness of infinite possibility rather than finite resources. Your financial breakthrough is not only possible, it is spiritually necessary. The world needs good people who understand how to attract and steward wealth wisely. Society requires virtuous individuals who can demonstrate that prosperity serves love rather than replacing it. The universe is ready to entrust you with financial abundance the moment you become ready to receive it without guilt, manage it without fear, and share it without resentment. Your goodness has prepared you to handle wealth responsibly. Your character has qualified you for prosperity that serves divine purpose. Stop struggling financially. Start flowing abundantly. The divine inheritance of prosperity awaits your willing acceptance. Your abundant future begins with your transformed consciousness today.